Okay. Oh,
Are we
recording. Good? Okay, we're recording.
So
I'm
nice
so glad I remembered to do that.
Yeah.
to see all your beautiful faces this morning, by the way. I miss you. Okay, so the GPS is a tool that we use to help you when you're formulating your goals and your vision for the coming year, right? So you guys could work on a GPS that takes you from now to the end of the year. And then around late October, November, it's wise to do and begin to work on your GPS for 2021. Okay, because what people forget sometimes is that the activities that we're doing today, right now, show up 90 days from now. So come October, you're already working on 2021 business. So the sooner you can work and develop your GPS for the following year, the better, and that's usually the October timeframe, okay, in a perfect world scenario. So because we're nearly in September, you guys could do one of two things. You could go ahead and just start working on your 2021 GPS, or you could do a mini one, so to speak, from now until the end of the year, and then in another month or so, work on 2021. But what you're going to do is you're going to, at the top of the GPS plan tool, is you're going to type out one big goal. So what is your, growth initiative, whether it's, is it, that you're going to close 10 units between now and the end of the year, or is it you're going to close 2.5 million in production between now and the end of the year? Typically, that's what you're looking at. Some people are driven by a dollar figure. So some people will say, well, I want to make $150,000 by the end of the year, or in 2021. Or they'll say, I want to close 6 million in volume, or I want to close 40 units because last year I closed 30. So I'd like to do 10 more this year. So whatever that goal is, that is what you put at the top of the page. And then what you're going to do below that is you're going to add priorities to help you achieve that goal. So there's going to be a priority 1. And each priority should be powerful enough to achieve the big goal all by itself. So you're going to choose a priority, and then underneath each priority, you're going to come up with 5 strategies to help you achieve that priority. Does that make sense? So the strategy is a specific, actionable item. Okay, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Megan, you use the GPS frequently. Do you want to add anything to what I've just shared, or your experience and how you use it?
Yeah, and right before we had started this, I kind of, said, what the G, the P, and the S stand for and what some of my things are. So I've already explained, like, my goal for 2020 was 30 transactions, and then my priorities were, and I've changed them throughout the year because, COVID. And then, so my priorities changed now to direct contact, indirect contact, and then follow-up for my 3 priorities. And then I have strategies for direct contact, like my first one I think is social media. So I'm reaching out directly to people on social media and touching them that way. And then, it goes down all of those strategies. And I think one of them's networking, one of them's, I'm going to start that Homes for Heroes thing, and I'm going to go to businesses and directly reach out to them. So I've kind of explained that a little bit, and I can show them my completed GPS too after we're done meeting.
Okay, good. I think that would be helpful for them, because if you've never completed a GPS before, it can kind of just take a minute to wrap your brain around, what the priority looks like, what the strategies look like. A direct touch could be an open house, right? So that's one of your strategies. So once you set your goal, your priorities, and then your strategies, then the next tool that becomes really handy is that 411, because that will then allow you to take your goals and break down those strategies or those priorities on a monthly basis and then a weekly basis. So for example, if one of your strategies is, so let's start at the beginning. If one of your priorities is to have direct contact, then one of the strategies could be holding you know, 4 open houses a month. So then on your 411, under your weekly goals, you would enter, you know, as one of your weekly goals, an open house. And then Megan, what was another one of your strategies?
For direct contact, networking, and then Homes for Heroes. So
Okay.
I'm actually I feel like I need to get involved in the community more and show my face around more. And one of the things that I really love to do is volunteer. So I feel like I can kill two birds with one stone, volunteering, but also like volunteering for community things. So that's my plan with networking is like joining or being a volunteer for Rescue 55021.
Really?
Yes.
Sorry, my mom owns that.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, fun.
She's gonna freak out. That's awesome. Sorry.
And then I'd like to do like a volunteer firefighter.
Okay.
Which I was gonna, talk to Zach about maybe because I know he does that. And then I also really want to get involved in drug court here. So I've already reached out to the Minnesota coordinator who I used to work with, and am working on that one already. So that one's first. Then I'm gonna do the volunteer, and then I'm gonna do the rescue one.
Oh, that one's that fire.
Yeah. So
Okay. Awesome. I love that. So she can take all of those strategies then and use the 411 in conjunction with her GPS. And for example, week 1, she could say, reach out to Carrie Ann's mom. Week 2, she could say, fill out the paperwork for Homes for Heroes. Week 3, have a conversation with Zach about, volunteer firefighting. And then, so then what you're going to do is you're going to, like, I carry my GPS and my 411 around with me all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm always, to Megan's point, sometimes crossing out, I'm adding, or I'm deleting to it, because this is what helps keep me organized and focused on the income producing activities, right? Or in my case, the recruiting producing activities, right? Or the growth producing activities. So, this is what keeps you on task, and having it in front of you and revisiting it is what's going to keep you on goal. And, I've coached folks before where they're like crushing it and they're ahead of the goal. And so then I push them as their coach to say, okay, so I think you undervalued what you were able to get done this year and accomplished this year. Awesome, you're doing great. Do you, are you at a point to where you feel like you want to just take a little time off for yourself and take it easy for a while? Or do we need to revisit your goal and increase it? And if so, then what does that look like? And, then we're going to switch things up. On the flip side, if you're behind on goal, then as I coach with agents, I'll say, okay, so Megan, you had that your monthly goal was to do at least 4 open houses. That could either be 1 a week, 2 on 2 weekends. It looks like you only did 2 last month. So let's just dig a little bit deeper and find out what kept you from doing 4, what kept you from doing the other 2. What was it that got in your way? What could you have done differently or removed as a distraction that would have allowed you to accomplish that goal? Because if you break things down finite that way and you're holding yourself accountable to it, then they should result in you achieving your ultimate goal. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But then we need to examine what sort of activities that you could have been doing, you should have been doing, or maybe that we should be removing, right? Because there are all different sorts of lead generation activities, and one size doesn't fit all. Megan, I think I can safely say and share, you don't necessarily enjoy door knocking, right? And so she's already determined that that's not how she wants to spend her time. But what she is really great at, one of the areas that she's really great at, is systematizing things. And so she's spending time systematizing, setting up smart plans, doing things in command. So where open houses might work really, really well for me, I might not be as systematized as Megan. So as a coach, I encourage you guys to try a few things at a time. I'm not a fan of the shotgun approach where you're trying 6 different things, because then it's really difficult to tell what you're good at, right? Because you're not really giving any one area your full attention. So what I say from a lead generation standpoint, if we're going to speak to lead generation, is pick 1 or 2 things that you think that you're good at, that you think your strengths lie in, that you enjoy, and try those first. Master them, get really, really good at them, and then layer in something new, like maybe calling expireds or door knocking or, spending time volunteering somewhere. But if you just go out with the shotgun blast and try it all, you're likely not going to be good at any one particular lead generation tactic. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I will speak from experience on that because I did the shotgun stuff when I was first an agent.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah, and once I got focused, I really saw the results of mastering something.
Yeah. So, it's all in the book, The One Thing. If you haven't read that yet, I would highly encourage that you guys do. And Gary really prescribes to, I think some people, myself included, used to take a lot of pride in thinking I could multitask. Or I talked myself into believing I was good at multitasking. I was never good at multitasking. I was just putting fires out all day long, and not one particular thing was necessarily done to the best of my ability because I felt like I needed to give attention to everything. And to Megan's point, as new agents, and even not brand new agents in the industry, I do still suffer from this, but I'm more cognizant of it now. You want to chase the shiny objects, right? You want to chase the things that you think are going to make your job easier. You want to throw money at Zillow leads. You want to, do things like that, rather than just sticking to the tried and true foundation building blocks that have never changed from a lead generation perspective. So by picking just 1 or 2 of those and putting your focus there until you start getting some traction, or until you've mastered it, and then add in something else. So I guess the reason why I dove into that was that your GPS and your 411 can change. It can change over time, and it can change often, because you're still trying to figure out where your strengths lie. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
What do you guys think? I don't want to do all the talking here. I want to make sure that this is collaborative. What questions, thoughts, concerns?
I have a question, but I think it's more like at the end question.
What
I thought
question?
of it, and at the end after you're done
Oh.
explaining everything. So you might come up with it later on. So I don't want to jump into that too quickly. I think that just as you're talking, my brain is just spinning, going, okay, this is I know this for myself, and I just so this is good. It's really good.
Yeah. It's my favorite tool. I'll let you. Any questions for you?
No, not really. Just getting it down.
Yeah, right. So I think here's the deal, ladies. We wake up every morning well-intended, right? We wake up every morning well-intended with the activities that we know here we want to accomplish that day. And one email, one phone call, one text message will take you in a completely different direction. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to fight that daily. So what I tell people is create a schedule that from 8 to 10 or 9 to 11, I don't care if it's first thing in the morning, middle of the day, in the evening, you pick your time and what makes sense for you and your family and your business. But be consistent with that time, whatever it is, okay? And absolutely nothing gets in the way of your lead generation and what's on your GPS and your 411 until that time frame is done. So for me, it's usually like a 8 to 10 or a 9 to 11, right? That's the time that I have blocked and I'm bunkered down somewhere and I'm focused on the activities that I need to get done for the day. And guess what? In 2 hours, like the really important activities that I need to take care of, the really important activities that you guys need to take care of in order to find and get more business, it can be accomplished in 2 hours if it's a focused 2 hours. And I like to tell people all the time, there's no such thing as an emergency in real estate. So the world is not going to stop spinning if you don't answer your phone or email or text messages for 2 hours, right? I used to be horrible about, I'll pick up, I still do this sometimes. I got to break the habit. My cell phone in the morning and I'll start looking at emails, and then I feel like I got to start putting out fires. And my best days, the days where I feel really accomplished, are the days where I don't look at that stuff until I'm done with my lead gen. Because even if a closing is going to be delayed, or a seller has to cancel an appointment, or there's an issue with someone's financing, that can wait for 2 hours. The world is not going to end if I don't get back to someone until after 11 o'clock. And so that's the mentality that I attempt to have. That's the mentality that, you know, I encourage people to adapt. And once you do, it honestly changes everything, because then the excuses that you like to throw out there, well, I got this email, or I got this, or I got that, they just don't come into play because you don't allow them to.
The first time I heard you say that there are no emergencies in real estate, I think it was on Ignite. And I felt so much freedom just wash over me when you said that. And I told my husband, and he's like, amen. It brings so much freedom to have that imprinted in your brain. Yeah.
Right. I mean, everything, you know, I can't think of, you know, a legitimate emergency in the 18 years that I've been in this business, right? So I think that you have to give yourself that freedom, Carrie Ann, to your point, to know sometimes it feels like, especially when people are reaching out to us, that we have to respond immediately. And we teach people how to treat us, right? We do. We teach people how to treat us. And so I was that person, and sometimes I still am, who will answer my phone call or answer my phone at 10 at night. But usually I'm doing that if it's someone who I know is only calling me if it is urgent, right? Because most people aren't going to call me at 10 o'clock at night if it can wait until the next morning, right? But when I worked in an agent capacity, you know, I would answer phone calls and emails and text messages at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I was teaching my clients how to treat me. We don't expect our doctor to answer a personal text at 10 o'clock at night, or our dentist, or our attorney, or any other sort of, you know, profession that closes, you know, down at 5 o'clock, right? I'm not saying be completely inflexible, you know, all the time. Like, there will be an occasion where that's appropriate or that's needed, but by and large, you are in control of your schedule. You know, you are in control of other people understanding and respecting and protecting your schedule. So if there's anything I'm going to leave you guys with today, is take some time between now and next week when you have your next meeting. And I would encourage you all to call GPS, break it down on a 411, and share it with one another so that you can, you know, and if this is what you want, ask one another to hold each other accountable to what those goals are. And here's the deal. They don't have to be long 30-minute conversations. You literally, if Haley and the three of you were in a room and you started your Thursday meetings, all of you, every single one of you going over your GPS and your 411 shouldn't take more than 10, 15 minutes. These aren't long, drawn out conversations. Those aren't productive. It's like, hey, you know, Megan could say, so, you know, here is my goal, this, and this, here's what I did. And then someone might say, oh, okay, kind of like what I did earlier. You know, you said you wanted to do an open house last week and it doesn't look like, you know, that you're able to do one. Was there anything particular that got in the way of that? And how can we support you in helping you stay on track, or, you know, get that activity done that you want to get done? So there is power in accountability, and most people don't like it, or myself included, but I know that it's a necessary evil in order to move me forward. And I don't like to disappoint people. So accountability is a big motivator for me when I know I have to report into somebody. I have to report into Zach every week. I have to report into Lisa and Katie every week, and I have to report into my coach every week. That keeps me motivated because I don't want to disappoint any of them, right? So what else? What are the questions?
Are we just gonna talk about GPS today, or are you gonna talk a little bit about the MREA like lead gen model?
I am not prepared to talk about that. What I had planned to do was speak to this and get you guys focused on filling these out.
Yeah.
And then I thought, if it's okay with you guys, I could zoom in. Shoot, I can't next Thursday. I have a meeting at 11.
That's okay. We have a guest next Thursday.
Yeah. I think let's start with the GPS, and I can kind of talk about the lead gen model too a little bit, because that really, the lead gen model like helps me pick what types of lead gen I'm gonna put on my GPS.
Oh, okay, good point.
So,
Good point.
but that's okay. And I can, you know, just I can flip to the page and say, okay, here's all the lead gen options. Pick one, you know.
Why don't we do that? And then you guys have your guest next week, but let's check in the following Thursday if you're okay with me checking in with you. And I want to see where you guys are at with your GPSs and your 411s.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the 411, because we didn't go over that, but I think it is a good tool that goes along with the GPS.
Yeah, so your 411 is going to be, it's going to be similar, but it is going to break things down on an annual, a monthly, and a weekly basis for you. So you're going to take your goals and, you know, your priorities and strategies, and you're going to break them down, you know, okay, so if my goal is to close 40 transactions next year, then monthly I need to be closing 10 pieces of business. Well, if I'm going to close 10 pieces of business every month, then what do I need to be doing every week in order to achieve that goal? Well, I've got to be closing, you know, anywhere between 2 or 3 transactions a week in order to hit a monthly goal of 10, in order to hit my yearly goal of 40. Okay, great. So if I need to close between 2 or 3 pieces of business a week, what are the activities or what are my goals that I need to put down to achieve in order to have that result? So they're very similar. It's the GPS is more overarching, and the 411 is going to drill down to what specific activities are you going to implement in order to support the strategies and priorities that you've set for yourself. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. It's guys, I like it. It's simple. It's one page.
Yeah.
Like it's everything you need to do for the year is on one page. That's awesome. And the GPS can also be condensed down to one page. I kind of spaced mine out so I had more room to write. You can, you know, there are electronic versions of these as well. You just want to have it saved somewhere on your phone. You can carry it around that way. Mine's just always in my bag. It's just, you know, it's just always in my bag. So I would start there. You know, have Megan go over the MREA lead gen models. You guys can have some discussions around that. That might help elicit what you want to put on your 411 and your GPS. And then in 2 weeks, so let me just look at the calendar. I want to make sure that we get it right as far as day and time. So that would be the 3rd of September. Does that sound right, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, let me just check my calendar, make sure I don't have any conflicts. And you guys always meet at 11, yeah?
Well, yeah, normally.
Okay.
We have been changing it though, because we just had a lot to talk about, which is good.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So the 3rd. So yes, I'm gonna put 11 a.m. down as the follow-up with you guys to check in on your GPS and 411.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. GPS 411. Anything else we need to talk about? How's everything else going?
Well, I was just gonna say, Cindy, I don't know if you've done this already. I've done it with Lisa, but there is for the 30, there's the goal setting and budget planning. And so as one of the things that you need to do, or they suggest that you do in the first 30, that would kind of help with you figuring out your, she breaks it down for you in this app. And that will help you figure out what your goal is that you want to put down. So have you had that with her yet? Okay.
I'm going to meet with Lisa this afternoon for the first time. So
Oh, good.
yes.
Oh, good. I'll get to see you then.
So it was more for some help with the tech side to get my systems all
Up and going.
together. Yeah.
Okay,
But
good.
we can talk about that. Maybe I can mention it and
Yeah.
we can go from there.
Awesome. Carrie Ann, you said that you kind of had a question earlier and that I might answer it just in the conversation.
I think you did, because I was like, well, what do you do when you have a buyer that calls and says, you know, I want to go see a property. Are you available right now? But typically I don't really get that. Like the time frame that I would time block in doing that lead generation would be not a time where people would be calling me and asking. I don't really get
Yeah.
phone calls by 10 a.m. So to go and do
Well,
stuff.
answer
So
that question. Here's the thing. I think at the end of the day that, you know, if you ever need to make that judgment call or an adjustment, it's okay. So what I say to people is if you erase, you must replace, right? So if for some reason it has to be during your lead gen time and it's going to take an hour out of your time, and put in 1 hour and make up the other hour at some point, right? So if you have to do that. So I'm not, again, saying be completely inflexible. I understand things happen, but if for the majority of the time, if 90% of the time you're following your schedule and you're not allowing people to interrupt it and you're really protecting that schedule, you're going to be just fine. Yeah. All right, ladies, it was nice to see all your faces this morning. Said hey.
We will.
we will, yeah.
All right, let me know if there's anything you need. Otherwise, I've got my next appearance at one of these for the 3rd at 11.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good rest of the meeting.
Okay, now I'm like, how do I save it? I want to make sure I don't like delete it, you know? Okay.